Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday, May 16th, 2026. This is Truth News. I am Walter Bass, and we're going to cover a couple of different topics today. We're going to cover the Congress of child molesters, the sexual deviants, the rapists, the murderers, the terrorists that reside on Pedophile Hill. And I've got a list made of just a few of these terrorists. That's what they are, according to the laws of the land, which I need to read before we start, so I don't get put on the fifth mental health hold for just simply advocating for the human rights, children's rights, constitutional rights. So without any further ado, let's start like we do now. I'll start every show reading the First Amendment. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. I have some grievances with my government, like the kidnapping of my 7-year-old son, the violent sexual assault of my 7-year-old son, and the murder of my 7-year-old son by the United States government. As we are at day 1,710 of retaliation by the United States government, dressed up as legal practice for reporting child sex trafficking of my 7-year-old son by serial child killer State Judge Kelly Hansen of Marietta, California. Kelly Hansen has used his position as a state judge, and he's used those magical terms, qualified immunity, to spend 17 years kidnapping, raping, torturing, abusing, murdering, and selling innocent American children, because he feels like it is within his rights as a state judge to commit crimes against humanity in the United States of America against United States children on U.S. soil. This is why we have become a nation in decline, in the words of Xi Jinping, or as I like to call it, the Orwellian wet dream, because that's what this is. And speaking of Xi Jinping, I'd like to address the fact that Donald Trump, the pedophile punk, the world's most famous child rapist, went to China, and China got Taiwan, basically, because they told Trump, stand down, if you try anything, there will be a conflict. And of course, Taco Trump, Trump always chickens out, taco, folded like a soft fajita shell. And we got in return rose seeds. That's right, rose seeds. And I think Xi Jinping was mocking him in the laws of sowing and reaping, basically saying you decided to run your country as the world's largest child sex trafficking industrial complex to ever exist. And now you're out of children. Now you're out of resources. You have nothing left to offer the world because your only offer was children. And we've sold out. Which is why he was greeted, I'm talking about pedophile punk Donald Trump, that's why he was greeted by hundreds or even thousands of Chinese children jumping up and down and being happy as Xi Jinping was mocking him, letting him know that China takes care of its children. China ensures that its country, its society will live on, because they understand the future of any society is its children. That's it. Not 80-year-old pedophiles on Pedophile Hill, not child rapists in Congress. No. That's not the future of a country. The future of a country is children. Their health, their safety, their education, all of that. And we don't have any of that. Our children are, pierced up, tattooed up, transgenders. They're suffering from gender dysphoria. They're being read story time in first grade by drag queens. They're being slaughtered, raped, murdered, and sold by the hundreds of thousands, millions over decades, as that is the United States of America's claim to fame, selling stolen children, which is why I haven't seen or heard from my child since 2021. And I'm going to say it again. They use retaliation dressed up as legal practice to conduct crimes against humanity. They say all these fancy things like custody or CPS or, law this and legal that. No. It's just a terrorist regime doing what they want, and then basically trying to use the laws to back up their crimes against humanity. And we all know this. So with that topic being discussed, we're going to move on. I'm going to play 3 short clips here, and they all address our greatest enemy. Actually, it'll be 4. Let's go with 5. 5 short clips. Here we go.
There was an admission on the Iran war, which jumped out at me, and it might to you too. Here it is in SOT 7.
We're doing it to help Israel and other countries.
So there it is. I mean, lest there was any doubt, it's the first thing in the answer. We did it to help Israel. We're doing it to help Israel. Renamed other countries. But just to say that is so controversial, that we're doing it to help Israel. We know that. We've said that many times. And then you get called an anti-Semite. But that's not anti-Semitic. It is a fact. You heard it from the President of the United States himself.
I thought this was a movement that was calling itself America First. And then you have Trump saying, we're helping Israel get rid of their big enemy. This war is serving nobody's interest other than Israel's. Everybody would be fine if we left tomorrow except one country, and that country's name is Israel. That's the reason why Trump can't get out.
Yes, correct. And that's the reason why Trump got in, and it's the reason why he can't get out. And it's one of the reasons why Americans are more disapproving of Israel now than ever.
There you go. There's one. Let's move on.
You're being...
Oh, hold on. Sorry.
Denying the petition.
I gotta go to my messages. I'll save all this. Let's move on to the next one.
That Israel was somehow implicated in 9/11. It was in their interests for that to happen because then it would lead them rage against all their enemies in the Middle East and so on. But do you tackle that kind of conspiracy theory in the series?
Benjamin Netanyahu on camera right after said it's a good thing because it brings the United States into a conflict that we've been involved in on an existential level for decades. I mean, he said that out loud. I'm not guessing you can pull the tape.
Netanyahu, who once commented that 9/11 was good for Israel.
When it comes to Israelis celebrating 9/11, I remember Netanyahu on 2 different occasions said some positive things about what happened on 9/11, for the Israelis, of course.
He said to the New York Times in an interview on September 11th, it's very good.
We know that a group of Israeli art students, who clearly were not art students, clearly some of them were aligned with Israeli intelligence, were arrested and held for quite some time in the United States before being released without charges. And we know that a group of them, again, I'm quoting an FBI document here, not the internet, filmed the attacks on 9/11, and I'm quoting, seemed to have foreknowledge of those attacks.
It began when this woman was watching the Twin Towers burning from her apartment in New Jersey. She noticed 3 men on top of a van, posing for pictures with the towers burning in the background.
And I could see that they were like happy. You know, they didn't look shocked to me. You know, they didn't look shocked. I thought it was very strange.
The witness called police, who stopped the van hours later and arrested 5 men. All 5, it turns out, were Israeli. They were turned over to the FBI. Sources tell ABC News during a check of national security databases, some of the men were listed as having had connections with Israeli intelligence.
Israel.
But wait, there's more. We're not done yet. We're not done yet. On to the next one. Now, this is Ana Kasparian, and I have great admiration for Ana Kasparian because she expresses her emotion. You can tell when she's upset. And she's not scared to say the truth. And that's what all this boils down to, is the truth. Our government hates the truth. Our legislators hate the truth. Police hate the truth. Law enforcement, they all hate the truth. The truth is they are operating under treason and sedition against the will of we the people of the United States of America, who are a self-governing nation by law. So, that being said,
the deterioration of the support for Israel in the United States correlates almost 100% with the geometric rise of social media.
What he means by social media is independent media, okay? He used to be able to get the major networks to serve as gatekeepers, protectors of Israel's treachery. But now, the media landscape is far more diversified thanks to independent media. And there are some outlets that won't shut up, that won't be intimidated. Ours happens to be one of them. You guys have tried to get my husband fired from his job. You guys have played all sorts of dirty little tricks. It's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. So come at us, it's not gonna happen. We're not gonna shut up. I will scream from the rooftops about Israel's treachery if this place goes under. I will never stop, never.
And I want to reiterate what Anna Kasparian said. They came after her husband, tried to get her husband fired, have played all kinds of dirty tricks. They have threatened to murder me. I've had law enforcement from California to Oklahoma threaten to kill me. I've been on 4 mental health holds, came and kidnapped, cuffed, thrown in the back of a cop car, drove into a mental health place, held against my will, and tried to be forcefully drugged against my will, all for reporting child sex trafficking to law enforcement. That's what all this is about. All of these videos on YouTube, all of the phone calls, all of the emails, all of the federal casework, which I still fill out for every single day. Matter of fact, I'm about to file a Form 1981 form, which is a civil lawsuit. And I'm going to file it myself. I asked Baron Coleman to help me. I emailed his podcast. I know he's a lawyer. I asked him to help me. And this is the case. This is the judge's words where he said he was taking my son because of what I said. But wait, let me go. I have several copies of this made. You can read this headline. Riverside County social workers place child rapist in foster system without warning parents. That's what they're doing. They are intentionally harming children. This is the physical injury of my son from a dick being stuck in his mouth by State Judge Kelly Hansen. And just to prove a point, we're going to show his lip. That's from Kelly Hansen's dick being forced in my son's mouth. And we're going to pull up Kelly Hansen. We're going to pull up a picture because I want everyone to know who this scumbag is who has thousands of victims of children that he has kidnapped, raped, tortured, molested, murdered, and sold. Right here. And you can just tell by looking, that man stuck his dick in my 7-year-old son. And the United States government across the board, from Pedophile Hill to California, have all conspired against me to shut me up, retaliate against me, call me crazy, mental health holds, attempt to drug me, threaten to murder me. Also, this man could stick his dick in this child. That's what all this is about. And I just want to make that abundantly clear. And I'm with Anna. I will not shut up. I will not be bullied. This is a story about how Project Touch tried to take this lady's baby. She was raped. And Ann Unmocked of Project Touch in Riverside County told her if she calls the police, she'll have her baby taken and put somewhere safe. Threatened to kidnap her child. This is Penal Code 278 of California state law. It is illegal to maliciously remove a child from their custody, from his or her parent or legal guardian. It is illegal, and that's exactly what Kelly Hansen did. He maliciously removed my child so he could, so he could stick his dick in my child. And this is in Riverside County. And we know about Riverside County. We know that's where the Black Widow, Erica Kirk, kicked off her Murder a Christians tour. Make America, or Make Heaven Crowded tour. And Greg Laurie has been selling children from Harvest Church all the way to Romania for 20 years. He is currently under lawsuit for it. So I'm with Anik at that. We're not going to shut up. We're not going to be intimidated. We're not going to be silenced. No, nothing changes if nothing changes. And this has got to change. This has got to stop. So we're going to move on. Next one.
I'm an American. Just like you said, you're defending your country, Israel. I'm an American. Your country is on my country's welfare. We have financed and given you the weapons and the diplomatic cover and the literal protection and vetoed the resolutions at the UN. We have protected and propped up Israel. And you have a lot of nerve to turn around and then say that we scrutinize what you do too much. I am forced against my will to pay for the destruction of Gaza, to pay for the military occupation of Palestine. And yeah, when I see videos of the military occupiers murdering a couple of surrendering people, yeah, I'm going to scrutinize that. I'm going to have an opinion on that. And it's just absolutely outrageous. I'm an American.
Do you see a pattern forming here? Do you see a pattern forming here? But wait, there's more.
Over Israel.
So here's my question. Everybody wants to make it about Israel. My question is about what is the proper use of our tax dollars?
I'm from Michigan, and here in Michigan, we got schools that can't afford to heat themselves in the middle of the winter. We've got roads that are crumbling, our literacy rates are tumbling, and people can't get health care. And you want to tell me that the best use of my tax dollars is to send them to buy a bomb or a tank for a country that's committing apartheid and genocide? Like, how does that make sense to me? How does that make sense to anybody in Michigan? The real question is about what should we use our money for? Now, it's a pretty crazy thing that a whole lot of people in Washington, D.C., from a whole lot of states that got a lot of similarities to ours, think that the best use of our tax dollars is to give bombs and tanks to a country that has universal health care and universal college. That doesn't make any sense to me. I want to keep my money here. I want to buy healthcare here. I want to buy schools here. I want to make sure that people can afford basic things here rather than sending my money over there.
Crazy.
Israel.
Did you hear it? They're crazy. These people are crazy. And that's all we have for America's greatest enemy. And we all know who our greatest enemy is. It's our own government, because they are occupied by AIPAC. Our greatest enemy is right here on our own soil, destroying our own country right before our very eyes, slaughtering our children, just preying on everybody like locusts. Our legislators are locusts. That is it. That's the truth. You can like it, you can hate it, you can disagree with it. It makes no difference. That being said, we're going to go through, I made a list of these Congress members, and I could have kept going for days on this. I could have kept going. Let me see if I can pull up this news article about the rampant sexual assault happening on Pedophile Hill. It's still going on, still to this day. And nobody can do anything to stop it. Nobody can do anything. In Congress, this is a New York Times article. No. It won't let me pull it up here. Hold on. New York Times article about in Congress, the minefield for sexual harassment. Right there, New York Times. You can pull up the article. And basically, 10 years ago, they tried to put a system in place to make it easy for aides and staffers on Pedophile Hill to report sexual assault, rape, sexual abuse, harassment. And 10 years later, we got serial rapist Eric Swalwell running rampant on Pedophile Hill with a slew of victims. We got Tony Gonzalez lighting women on fire that he was sleeping with that tried to break it off with him. Burning them alive. Tony Gonzalez. Look it up. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not being hyperbolic. This is not imagination. This is not crazy or delusional. This is not psychosis. This is the truth. And it's got to stop. It really does. So we're going to go through a thing. First of all, I heard something today, and I wrote this down because I found it very, very true. And I heard it from one of Tucker Carlson's guests, and I didn't get their name. Conspirators hate conspiracy theorists. So anytime someone calls you a conspiracy theorist, or say you're crazy or delusional or under psychosis or anything like that, chances are they're a conspirator. Chances are they're working with other people to be nefarious, malicious, facetious, whatever other words you want to use. And I wrote this down in light of all of these videos that you just saw on the YouTube Reels. I am pro-humanity. I am pro-human rights. Therefore, by default, that makes me anti-Semitic. Because you can't serve two masters. You can't stand for Jesus Christ and human beings to be treated like human beings and children to be protected, loved, nurtured, and cared for. You can't say I stand for all that and also support our greatest enemy. It is impossible. So I am pro-humanity. I guess that makes me anti-Semitic by default. That's it. Now we're going to go through a couple of things before I get to today's Bible verse, which is a good one. And if you want to look it up, it's going to be Timothy 4, and we're going to start at Timothy 4:3. If you want to go ahead and look it up, I'll end the show with that, as I always do. We start the show with the First Amendment. We end the show with the Bible verse, because really, that's the only thing left to save our country, is God and the Constitution and people who are willing to have the courage to stand up and speak out and tell the truth. So, and it's cost me everything. Standing up for God, country, and family has cost me everything. It's cost me my home. It's cost me all of my material possessions. It's cost me my child. It's cost me 4 mental health holds. It's cost me physical assaults. It's cost me to travel halfway across the country. It's cost me to be threatened to be murdered. When I say the cost of standing up for God, country, and family in America, it's sometimes too much for people to take. It's unbelievable, the evil. It really is. So I want to go over a couple of things. We have this concept in America that money makes you successful or makes you a good person or makes you better than money. I want to remind everybody that Tiger Woods is a womanizer. He's a pillhead, and he's a drunk. He's got millions of dollars, millions and millions of dollars. He's got world fame, and he's a pillhead, a drunk, and a womanizer. To me, that's not successful at all. If you got to sleep with hundreds of women, if you got to cheat on your wife, and you got to pop pills and get drunk, how is that successful? How are you living a good life if you need to get drunk, pop pills, and sleep around? I don't understand the correlation. He's a scumbag. He's a scumbag. He's got no morals, no scruples, no ethics, no values. He's got money, and that's all he's got. Britney Spears, world fame, money, a drunk, in rehab right now. In rehab, a drunk. Let's go through a list of drunks. Nancy Mace, a drunk. Sleeping with her staffers, a drunk. An alcoholic, trash. She's a Jezebel. She's a harlot. She's a scumbag. That's it. Nancy Mace. We're going to go on. Pete Hegseth, drunk. You're trying to tell me these people are successful? Being a drunken fool and sleeping around? Pete Hegseth has like 3 different babies' mamas. His own mother wrote a letter chastising him in front of everybody. Publicly humiliated him because he's a domestic violence abuser. He beats on women. He abuses women, and he gets drunk. And you're telling me that's success? If that's success, I don't ever want it. I don't ever want it. I don't ever want to be successful. If being a drunk, a pillhead, a womanizer, a woman beater, a drunk, a sexual deviant, if you call that success, you can have it, you can keep it. I don't think so. I would rather have nothing, live in a car, and have my soul, my integrity, my morals and values, than to have all the money in the world and be addicted to drugs and pills and alcohol and having to beat on women to feel like a man. Pete Hegseth. Lindsey Graham, drunk. Most of his Fox News, go ahead and pull up any of his Fox interviews. I love Israel. He's a drunk. He can barely speak. What a scumbag. Kash Patel, drunk. He's a drunk. Just a drunk. That's it. Trump, pillhead, cokehead. Everybody knows it. Pillhead, cokehead. He's on Ambien, whatever pill it is. I think it's Ambien. He had to get a fake throat thing for his mouth. He's got inserts in his mouth because he's done so much cocaine. He's ruined his nasal cavity and his sinuses. Drunk. Cokehead and pillhead. Donald Trump. This is the President of the United States of America, by the way. And let's not forget what was in there when Biden was in there. Cocaine in the White House, gay porn in the Senate. You think this is new? Do you think this is new? This has been going on for decades. They probably still have cocaine from Pablo Escobar and the Medellin cartel stored in the White House somewhere. They probably got bricks of cocaine, just unlimited supplies. Tony Gonzalez, we already covered that. Burns women alive, cheats on his wife with his own staffers who are married, and then burns them alive. Corey Mills from Florida, beats on his wife, domestic violence abuser. Jim Jordan, child molester, serial child molester. Years of abusing children. Good old Jim Jordan. Former Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert. Serial child molester. Look it up. Dennis Hastert. Hastert. Serial child molester, convicted of it. Matt Gaetz, statutory rape. Paying 17-year-old girls to have sex with him. Mike Banks, Border Patrol chief, just resigned because he's traveling the world on our tax dollars to sleep with prostitutes. That's right. That's right. He's got to go pay. Well, you see a pattern forming? These people have to pay for, they're such sexual deviants and they're so ugly and disgusting and vile that nobody wants them. They have to pay women to sleep with them despite the fact that they have millions of dollars. They have power, they have access to cameras and TVs and homes, chauffeurs, jets. They have all this stuff, and they still have to pay women to sleep with them. That's how disgusting these scumbags are. Representative Michael McCall, public drunk, charged with public drunkenness. Dan Crenshaw, remember, he got drunk in Mexico, couldn't travel out of the country for 3 months. They punished him because he got drunk and acted a fool in Mexico. Gold Bar Bob Menendez. Do we remember Gold Bar Bob? All the gold in his house and all the money buying his wife Lexuses and all of that stuff. And we got George Santos, who just got pardoned. Money laundering and theft, millions of dollars. We got Rick Scott, the biggest Medicaid fraud in the history of our country. And he's sitting in Congress right now after he stole $1 billion from taxpayers. Just flat out stole it and somehow made it to Congress. This is where we're at. This is why it's an Orwellian wet dream. This is what this is. This is unbelievable. And I still stand firm by my statements. We need to just lock these sexual deviants, these terrorists, these scumbags, lock them in their buildings. Just lock them in, chain them in until we're done. We don't need you. We can build the roads. We can fix the power lines. We can pump our own gas. We can take care of it. We don't need you. We don't need thieves and rapists and murderers trying to tell us what to do. I'm not going to listen to scumbags who can't control themselves sexually, physically, mentally, emotionally. I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's against my religion as a follower of Jesus Christ to follow evil. I am taught by this Bible to hate evil. And I do. I stand firm by that. I hate evil. I hate anyone who doesn't want to protect children. I hate anyone that harms women or human beings for any reason, whatever the case may be. Unacceptable. These people are demonic creatures. They need to be out of this country at the minimum. So with that being said, let's preach the word. That's the title of the sermon here. Preach the word. 2 Timothy 4:3 is where I'm going to start. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. They will not endure sound doctrine. But wanting to have their ears tickled, they will accumulate for themselves teachers in accordance to their own desires. Do you see this cult mentality? They just passed a law saying that if you speak negatively about Trump, you could be labeled a domestic terrorist and put on a watch list. I'm sure I've been on a federal watch list since 2021 when the FBI started assaulting me in my gym for reporting child sex trafficking. Not to mention the numerous assaults the FBI have put on me, physical assaults by the FBI for reporting child sex trafficking. Not to mention the financial terrorism, the psychological terrorism, the emotional terrorism, threats to be murdered. All for a man sticking his dick in my 7-year-old son. But I digress. And will turn away their ears from the truth and will turn aside to myths. And that's what they want you to live in, a delusional psychosis with them. They want you to live in their Orwellian wet dream. They want you to join them. Otherwise, they'll punish you. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not joining the satanic occult. I'm not doing anything to harm children. It's never going to happen. Never. Never. But you, be sober in all things. Endure hardship. Do the work of an evangelist. Fulfill your ministry. For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure has come. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. And I will fight the good fight. I will finish the course, and I will stay in faith. When I went to UPS to print this out, and they see this, the guy at UPS, and he says to me, he saw all this, and he gave me a discount. He didn't charge me full price for printing it out. And he tells me, he goes, hey, brother, he goes, you're doing what needs to be done. And I said, hey, I'm just fighting the good fight. And he said, you keep it up, brother. You keep it up. You're doing what needs to be done. This has to be done. We have to stand up and speak out against the atrocities, the crimes against humanity happening right here in the United States of America, against the laws. This is the law, the Constitution. This is the law. Not pedophile punk Donald Trump, not the Midwest City Police Department, not the Attorney General Drummond. These people are not the law. They are public servants. Strictly taxpayer-funded public servants that we put there to serve our interests in accordance with this, the law. But they don't like the law because they can't abide by the law. They can't operate within the laws. You see, if they abided by the law, they couldn't go around raping women and selling children. If they abided by the law, they couldn't be having cocaine parties and drug-fueled orgies and P. Diddy parties. No, they couldn't have an Epstein Island if they operated by the law. So, with all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I got to fill out my form 1981 to get this civil action, which I anticipate nothing is going to happen. Nothing, because we have no judicial system. We have no court system. It's all kangaroo. It's all fake and gay. It's whatever they want to do and just sign some paperwork to agree with our evil agenda. So with that being said, I want to hope everybody has a good weekend. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. And I will see you all tomorrow.